Hi guys, this is Dalamar Continue and welcome to our video tutorial. On this video, we're going to talk about C++ syntax. So here is our C++ program. So ito po yung ating code. So the program prints hello world in the output screen. So we have sharp include iostream using namespace td semicolon, int min, tsaka yung opening curly brace o open curly brace, then cout hello world semicolon, return 0 semicolon, at saka yung ating closing curly brace. So you might have noticed hello world. So being the first program while starting out any programming language. So kung nakapag-try na kayo pag-program or nag-start pa pag-program, kung nakakita na kayo mga tutorial or mga video tutorial, is palagi nyo nakikita tong hello world. So bakit nga ba? So it is a standard check to see whether everything is working fine or not. Then there will be very less code to start with. So the less code makes it intuitive for the beginners to get acquainted with the language. So the code is enough to learn the basic syntax and semantics of the language. So wala nang paligoy-ligoy pa. So in short, para mas madali pag-check kumpara yung mga beginners na pag start pa lang is ang taas ng mga ginagawa or napaka-complicated na. So first, kung beginner ka pa lang, is start with the basic. So first, you run hello world para malaman mo na ito pala yung dapat gawin para lumabas si hello world. So or ito pala yung takbo or paano gumagana yung ating programming language na ginagamit. Then now let's dissect the code above yung kanina. So the code is divided into 6 major parts. We have sharp include iostream, then using namespace td, then yung kanyang semicolon, then int min, open, at saka closing curly brace, then cout, less than, hello world, semicolon, at saka yung return 0 semicolon. First, we have sharp include iostream. So if you're already written sa code ng C language, so alam nyo na to. Kung wala pa, pag-uusapan natin dito. So this statement includes the header file into the application so that you are able to use the operations included in them. So also you can create your own header files and include them in your program using the sharp include or yung ating preprocessor directive. So sharp include iostream is a header file library that lets us work with input and output. Notice guys, input and output objects. So kasi ito yung sa input output stream, such as cout, which is gagamitin natin or pag-uusapan natin later sa pag-display ng ating hello world na text. Header files add functionality to C++ program. So nandito na po tayo, sharp include iostream. So this is a preprocessor directive. So it tells the preprocessor to include the contents of iostream header file. So kaya sharp include yung ating iostream. Then and the program before compilation. So this file is required for input-output statements. So kailangan natin para makagamit tayo ng sa input at sa output ng mga statements. So what is iostream? So iostream is what you call the header file which provides us with input and output stream. So it is a standard C++ input-output library file. So it comes packaged with the compiler IDE or IDE and contain mechanisms to get the information from the user and print same or added information to a file, screen, or any other media. So what is sharp include? So, sharp include iostream file into the program. So the sharp include the iostream. So ito yung ating preprocessor directive. So this ensures that now you're able to use the operation iostream operations like taking input from user, displaying output on the screen in the program. So sharp include is called the preprocessor directive. So preprocessor directives begin with the sharp sign or hash number sign. They are processed before compilation. So the directive sharp include iostream tells the preprocessor to include the iostream. Kaya sharp include iostream. So tells the preprocessor to include yung ating iostream na header file to support the input and output operations sa ating program. Then number 2, we have what is using namespace td. So ano yung namespace td? So using namespace td. So the statement is intuitive in itself. So you are using the namespace td in your file. So we use the namespace td to make it easier to reference operations included in the namespace. So if we hadn't use the namespace, kung hindi natin gagamitin yung namespace, hindi natin gagamitin yung using namespace std, is we have written yung code natin is std tuldok cout instead of cout lang diretso. So this tells the compiler that every cout is actually an std tuldok cout. So medyo hassle to kasi kapag magsi-cout tayo, magpe-print tayo, example hello world, is always tayo every time na magpe-print tayo is lalagyan natin ng std at saka itong mga tuldok na to. So kumpara kung gagamitin natin yung ating using namespace std. So ito yon, nandito na tayo sa using namespace std. So tapos na tayo po sa sharp include iostream o yung ating preprocessor directive na sinasabihan niya yung ating preprocessor na include yung ating iostream na header file. So again, ito yung sa ating preprocessor directive. Include niya yung ating iostream na header file. Then nandito na tayo ngayon sa namespace std. So, using namespace std tells the compiler to use the standard. So, yung std guys is yung ating standard namespace. So, namespace collects identifiers used for class, object, and variables. Namespace can be used by two ways in a program. So, either by the use of using statement at the beginning, like we did in above mention yung kanina sa cout program, or by using name or of a namespace as prefix before the identifier with scope solution operator. Ito yung mga symbol niya. So, example, using namespace std. So, kung gamit tayo yung kanina, cout less than yung ating hello world na statement. So, nilalagay natin sa double quotation kasi string siya. Then, semicolon. Then, without using namespace std is always kapag magpa-cout tayo, magpapalabas ng text sa screen is lalagyan natin ng std at saka itong operator na to, cout. So, kung mapapansin nyo, sana ang mas maikling code. So, ito, no? So, kaya yung kadalasan ginagamit is ito kasi ito medyo hassle, no? Medyo mataas pa. Palagi ka nag-mention doon ng std kumpara sa, i-mention mo na sa from the beginning na using namespace std or we're going to use the standard namespace. So, omitting namespace. So, kapag di natin gagamitin yung namespace, again, is katulad nito, ito yung gagamitin natin. std, ito. Kumpara dito sa kanina, ito na using namespace std. So, you might see some C++ programs that runs without the standard namespace library, guys. So, the using namespace std line can be omitted and replaced with the std keyword followed by the kutuldok operator for some objects. Kutuldok ba yan? So, example, sharp include iostream int main, then std cout, ito. So, always lalabas to. Type natin tong keyword na to. So, what's a namespace? So, it's a region where your code resides. So, it limits or expands the scope of your code to one or more files. So, kaya, yung kanina, gumagamit tayo ng using namespace std para malaman ng program natin na tayo ay gumagamit ng standard namespace. Kasi kung hindi, ito yung gagawin natin. So, always tayo mag-mention na std. Yan. So, why do you use namespace? So, bakit natin gagamitin yung namespace? So, like two persons can have the same name. So, variables and functions in C++ can have the same names as well. So, the use of namespace is to avoid the confusion of which variables, functions you are referencing to. So, it is up to you if you want to include the standard namespace library or not. So, again, it's up to the programmer or to you if you're going to include yung ating namespace. So, kasi kung hindi mo include, again, ito yung mangyayari. Palagi kang mag-state ng keyword na std at saka itong operator na to. Kumpara kapag gagamit tayo ng using namespace std is diretso na tayo cout. So, again, depende yan sa'yo kung saan mo mas prepare yung sa programming style. Now, so, what is std? So, again, so std is yung ating standard namespace sa C++. So, don't worry if you don't understand how sharp include iostream at saka yung using namespace std works because just think of it as something that almost appears in your program. So, sa mga beginners pa lang, don't worry kapag hindi nyo pa fully naiintindihan yung what is yung ating sharp include iostream o yung ating preprocessor directive para include yung ating iostream file, header file, at yung ating using namespace steady. So, ang isipin lang natin is lahat sila is almost or every time na magpo-program tayo is parating lumalabas or tina-type natin. So, kadalasan hindi siya nawawala sa ating pag-program kapag tayo nagpo-program sa C++ language. Then, semicolon. So, kung napansin nyo sa kanina mga natin, statement sa ating code, source code natin is itong ating semicolon. So, always yung statement nag-i-end ng semicolon. So, the semicolon is a terminal. So, it terminates a statement. So, when missed or incorrectly used, so it will cause a lot of issues kapag hindi natin nalagyan ng ating semicolon. So, note, every C++ statements ends with a semicolon. So, yung ibang programming language is hindi na sila gumagamit ng semicolon. Yung iba nga, indent lang. At tapos, yung iba is gumagamit pa rin ng semicolon. So, kaya nga, kapag marunong ka C++, is medyo madali lang yung mga pag-transition sa mga ibang look-alike na mga language. So, nandito na tayo. So, sa semicolon. So, kanina, itong si semicolon is nandito. No? So, ngayon. At saka, ito yung ibang mga statement is nag-i-end ng cout. Ending niya is semicolon, return 0, semicolon. So, ito is nandito siya sa pagkatapos ng steady or standard. So, simple C++ program without using namespace steady. So, ito yon. So, the program prints hello world on the output screen. So, sharp include iostream. So, ito yung kanina kapag di tayo gagamit ng ating using namespace steady. Ito yung magiging resulta, guys. As you can see, int main, pagkatapos ito is dito. So, sa int main sa taas, kanina is nandun yung ating using namespace steady. So, ngayon is hindi natin i-omit natin yung ating or tatanggalin or di natin gagamitin yung using namespace steady. So, ang mangyayari is every time na magsi-cout tayo, kagaya nito, is ilalagay natin yung ating keyword na std at saka itong operator na to. Tapos, always remember yung kanina na lahat ng statement sa program natin C++ is mag-i-end ng semicolon. So, kagaya nito, sa loob ng ating int main, we have semicolon, semicolon, at saka semicolon. So, kapag tinanggal natin, mag-i-error yung program natin. So, again guys, always tayo mag-i-end ng semicolon dito. No? So, again, ito yung kung di tayo gamit ng using namespace td. So, medyo hassle kumpara sa diretso na tayo mag-cout kapag mayroon tayong using namespace td dito. Again, ma-appreciate nyo to kapag magpo-program na tayo. Ng example, sa gamit natin ay code blocks o anong programming o anong graphical user interface yung gamit nyo or anong compiler para sa C++ programming. So, int main. So, dito na tayo sa pang-apat. So, int main. So, as the name suggests, it is the main function of the program. So, main function of the program, guys. So, the code inside, yung ating opening at saka closing curly brace is called the body. Sa loob niya is yung ating mga code. So yung body natin. And is executed first when you run your C++ program. So, kapag nagparan ka ng program, isa yung pinakaunang i-execute ng ating compiler. So, yung pa-display ng program natin. Then, it is one code that is mandatory in a C++ program. So, if you just have this line of code alone, your program will be valid. So, another thing that always appear on C++ program is int main. So, again, yung kanina is yung ating sharp include, then yung ating using namespace td, at ngayon, yung pinaka-common talaga is yung ating int main. So, hindi kasi gagana yung ating C++ program kapag walang int main. So, wala siyang i-display kasi again, yung ating int main, yung pinakaunang function na ipapalabas o execute ang ating program. So, kung ano yung nakalagay dun, so yun yung uunahin. So, this is called a function. So, any code inside its curly braces will be executed. So, ito yun. Dito na tayo na part. So, int main, ito again, itong body between yung ating opening at saka closing curly brace. So, defines the so-called main function. So, the main function is the entry point of the program execution. So, again, ito yung pinakaunang i-execute ng program natin kapag nagparun tayo. So, main, open at saka closing parenthesis is required to retain an int integer. So, kailangan ito. Note, the body of int main could also be written as yung int main ito. Kagaya nito. Kumpara yung kanina, ito na shall include iostream, tsaka yung int main or using namespace td dito, at saka ito. Pwede natin isulat sa na parang ganito, nakahiga. So, int main. Again, don't forget yung ating semicolon. So, ito yung key. So, i-determine na every time na makikita yung program natin, itong semicolon. So, mean niya ay parang new line. So, i-determine na or i-break niya. So, dito lang, hanggang dito lang ito ng code na to, hanggang dito lang. So, again, importante si semicolon. So, remember, the compiler ignores white spaces. However, multiple lines makes the code more readable. So, which is very true. Pwede tayong sumulat ng program na pag ganito, or ganyan style. Ang kaso nga lang is yung readability niya. Yun yung issue. So, kasi maraming programmer na nagpa-practice ng ganyan, pero yung iba is medyo ang disadvantage kasi is yung human readability or yung presentation ng source code mo. Kasi kapag ibang nakatingin tapos hindi sanay sa style mo is maguguluhan talaga, or ibang mga tao makakita sasabihin lang walang code organization o hindi masyadong organized yung sa coding mo. Kaya mas mabuti na ayusin natin yung pagka-program o yung code arrangement natin para mas neat tingnan o mas maganda tingnan. Then again, the compiler ignores white spaces. So, kahit mag-space ka pa dyan, mag-enter, as long as may semicolon yan, i-ignore yung mga space, extra spaces, or mga enter. Example, ganito. So, kahit mag-enter ka pa dito, or mag-enter ka pa dito, or mag-space, ito, i-forward mo pa dito, is i-ignore lang yan ni compiler. So, papabayaan. Ang babasahin lang niya is yung ating statement ito. At saka, mag-end dapat siya ng semicolon. So now, we go to braces. So, yung ating curly braces. So, the two curly brackets or braces are used to group all statements together, guys. So, again, yung between yung ating curly braces is yun yung ating body. Yun yung nandun yung ating mga code lahat, no? So, curly braces which shows how much the main function has its scope. So, yun yung ating range. So, hanggang saan yung lawak ng code yung sinasakupan. Example, kapag may pinasok ka, kapag may statement ka doon sa int main mo, kung ano lang nakapasok doon, ano lang nasa loob ng int main, doon lang yung i-execute ng ating program. So, hindi niya i-execute yung nasa labas. So, again, uunahin ng program or compiler natin pag i-execute yung nasa o yung mga statement na nasa loob ng ating int main, yung ating curly brace, so sa gitna, no? Then cout, so dito na tayo sa pag-print ng ating or pag-display sa screen ng ating hello world or kung anong gusto mong i-display. So this statement prints hello world so onto the output screen. So the cout is an object of standard output stream. So you have to remember, guys, yung ating sharp include iostream. So, kailangan yun para magamit natin si cout. So, what this means is, if outputs or prints the data after less than, yun yung parang, ngipin ng buhaya. So, cout, less than, example, hello world into an iostream, in this case, the output screen. So, cout, pronoun cout, is an object used together with the insertion operator. So, insertion operator yun, guys. So, less than. So, cout, insertion operator natin, yung less than, then yung ating gustong i-display pasok sa, kasi text yung ating i-display or string, nasa loob ng ating double, curly brace. Double quotation. So, example, hello world. So, note every simple statement ends with semicolon. Again, always end with semicolon. After natin, sa double quotation, end tayo ng semicolon. So, nandito na tayo, guys. Again, semicolon, don't forget para di magkaroon tayo ng error. So, cout, yung ating insertion operator, less than, kasi kung ako no, cout, less than, so is used to print anything on screen. So, same as printf, kung remember or sino nakagamit sa inyo ng si language, so una, yung paggamit is, yun yung gamit, printf. Then, sin and cout are the same as scanf. So, yung si cout is yun yung sa printf, then si sin is yun sa ating scanf. So, only difference is that you do not need to mention yung format na gagamitin natin. So, specifiers like %d para sa integer, sa yung si language, then, etc. So, in cout and cin. So, diretso na. Lagay mo lang dyan cin. So, yung cout kasi, ibig sabihin, let's say, yung cout is from computer to user, i-display niya. So, cout, parang galing sa computer, gusto niyang i-display. Kaya ngayon, cout, insertion operator, hello world. So, gusto niyang mag-convey or mag-display ng information. Kumpara sa cin is, ang cin yun yung napapapasok. So, baliktad. Kasi kung si cin yung gamit natin is, instead na ganito, yung operator natin is baliktad. Yung kanyang bunganga is nakaharap sa cin. So, cin, sample. Ito, we have cin, then yung kanyang operator is ganyan. So, instead na pabuka. So, cout, suka, palabas, cin, papasok. Para kinakain yan yung information na tinatype mo. No? So, cout, hello world, end line. So, itong end line guys, inline, so parang new line yan. Kung sa, sa ibang mga language, new line. So, cout refers to the standard output or console output. Kaya yan, cout, so, sila yung C, then out. So, again, dapat gumamit tayo ng ating iostream. Input, iostream, no? Input, output, iostream, or stream. So, kaya, kailangan natin mag-sharp include iostream again, guys, ha? Then, the symbol insertion or less than is called the stream insertion operator or to put to. So, again, yung computer magpapalabas ng text sa screen or data. Kung si cin is kakainin niya o papasok niya yung ating tinype na data ni user to computer. So, which is used to put the string hello world to the console. So, end line denotes the end of the line or new line, again, new line. So, parang enter lang yan. So, pagkatapos mo gusto display sa baba is mag-end line ka dito para sumunod yung line sa baba naman. So, which is to put the console to bring the cursor to the beginning of the next line. So, what is a stream? So, stream is basically a sequence of objects. So, usually bytes can describe files, input, output, terminal, sockets, and etc. So, what is less than? So, again, it is yung ating insertion operator. So, used to write formatted data into stream. Again, kung sa cin yung gamit natin or console input, kumpara sa console output or cout, is baliktad yung ating operator. So, paharap sa cin yung kapag magpapasok tayo ng data to console. So, what is return 0? So, nandito na tayo sa return 0, guys. So, we're done sa cout, hello world, semicolon. Again, always ang statement mag-end ng semicolon. So, this statement returns 0. So, 0. So, this is called a return statement. So, it isn't mandatory to return anything from the main function, but is rather a convention. So, if not returned, the compiler returns a status automatically. So, return 0 ends the main function. So, pag paran mo, kapag may return 0 ka, mawawala yung automatic yung So, at saka ibig sabihin is okay yung program mo. Then, do not forget to add the closing curly brackets or curly brace to actually end the main function. So, again, between, kasi yung sa return 0 is nasa loob siya ng ating body. So, between yung ating opening at saka closing curly brace. So, again, ito sila, nasa loob siya or pagkita siya dito, no? So, why 0 in return statement? So, it denotes exit status of the application that basically that tells the program worked fine. So, kapag nag-return 0 or nawala, na okay siya, is ibig sabihin okay yung program mo. Kasi kapag hindi, is lalabas yung sa baba yung mga errors. Or mga bugs. For example, yung mga syntax or logical errors. Or syntax errors, hindi logical. So, lalabas dun sa baba, yung mga errors na, nagawa natin. So, end of lesson. So, ayun guys. So, dun lang po tayo ngayon. So, see you sa next video tutorial natin.